Okay, let's dive into the Book of Zephaniah. It's a short book, only 3 chapters, but wow, does it pack a punch. It takes us on this wild ride from the absolute worst of human corruption all the way to the brightest hope you can imagine. And it all centers on one of the most famous cities in the world, Jerusalem.
And that brings us to the big question that hangs over this entire book. How on earth could a city chosen by God, a place that was supposed to be a shining example for the world, get so unbelievably rotten from the inside out? Well, that's the mystery we're about to explore. So, our story kicks off with a pretty brutal diagnosis of the problem. The prophet Zephaniah, he is not holding back at all. He's putting the city's moral collapse on full display for everyone to see. He calls Jerusalem rebellious, totally stained by sin, and just plain oppressive. And then he points his finger directly at the source of the rot, the very leaders who were supposed to be the city's protectors. Zephaniah uses these incredibly vivid images to show just how bad things had gotten. The city's leadership? They'd basically become a pack of wild animals. The princes are roaring lions, just devouring anyone weaker than them. The judges are like evening wolves, so greedy they leave nothing behind. And even the spiritual leaders had failed. The prophets were liars, and the priests, the very people who were supposed to teach the law, were the ones breaking it. I mean, every single pillar of their society was just crumbling.
And this wasn't just a political scandal. It was a deep, deep spiritual crisis. The people had just systematically unplugged themselves from God. They wouldn't listen, they wouldn't learn from their mistakes, they refused to trust, they didn't even want to be near God. It was a total spiritual shutdown.
And a failure that complete, that stubborn, well, it couldn't just be ignored. The stage was officially set for a divine response.
This brings us to a really intense idea you see in the prophets, the day of the Lord. And let me tell you, this is no holiday. It's a day of terrifying, serious judgment. I mean, just listen to the words Zephaniah uses to describe it. A day of wrath, a day of distress and anguish, a day of ruin and devastation, a day of darkness and gloom. There is zero wiggle room here. This is an announcement of an overwhelming, unavoidable consequence for their actions. And this chart really shows you the heart of the conflict. In the very city where God was supposed to be present, you have this stark contrast. On one side, you have the Lord, who is righteous, whose justice is as reliable as the sunrise. And on the other, you have the city's leaders, who are unjust and feel absolutely no shame about it. Then God makes this really chilling point. He basically says, hey, look around you. I have dealt with other corrupt nations. I have torn down their strongholds. The message was crystal clear. If I hold the rest of the world accountable, what makes you think you get a free pass? For God, justice applies to everyone. But just when the story feels like it's about to be swallowed by darkness, Zephaniah makes this stunning turn. He says that after the fire of judgment, there's going to be a glimmer of light. There's a promise of hope for a faithful few. So this is the question just hanging in the air. After a prophecy filled with so much destruction, is that it? Is it all over? Or is God's plan something more than just tearing things down? And the answer is found in this key idea, the remnant. God's plan was never to just wipe everyone out. It was about purification. He was going to save a small group, not the powerful and the proud, but the humble and the lowly who genuinely put their trust in him. This was a pretty radical idea, though what matters most isn't your nationality, but your personal faith. So what does this remnant look like? Well, they're the complete opposite of the corrupt city we just saw. They do no wrong, they speak no lies, and because they live with integrity and trust in God, they get to have peace and security with nothing to fear. And then the camera zooms way out. The vision gets so much bigger. This promise isn't just for a few survivors in Jerusalem. Zephaniah sees a day when God will purify the lips of all peoples, so that every nation will call on his name and serve him together. The hope has now gone global. This leads us to the final act of the book, and it's absolutely breathtaking. The whole tone shifts from the terror of judgment to an explosion of pure joy. The work of restoration is finally complete. Zephaniah gives the people 4 amazing reasons to break out in song. 1. Your punishment is over. 2. Your enemies are gone. 3. And this is the big one, the King, the Lord himself, is right there with you. And because of that, 4, you will never have to fear disaster again. What a promise of total security. And then we get this verse, and it's truly one of the most beautiful in all of Scripture. It's a shocking reversal. It's not the people singing to God anymore.
It's God singing over them. He rejoices over them with gladness, he quiets them with his love, and he exults over them with loud singing. Now that phrase, he will quiet you by his love, that's so deep. It suggests that he's going to be silent about their past sins. He's not going to bring it up anymore. The judgment is so completely over that the only thing left is God's quiet, loving, accepting presence. What we're seeing here is a complete 180-degree turnaround. The very people who were shamed and scattered all over the world will be gathered together and honored. God promises to literally turn their global shame into global praise. So, after that incredible journey through just 3 short chapters, what's the big takeaway? What is Zephaniah's enduring message for us? The story's arc is so powerful and clear. It starts with the internal corruption of a nation's leaders. That leads to the unavoidable consequence of judgment. But it doesn't stop there. It moves through a painful but necessary purification, which saves a faithful remnant. And that leads to the ultimate end, a joyful redemption where God himself is celebrating. And that's why this isn't just an ancient story. It's a timeless pattern. It teaches us that leadership comes with huge responsibility, that our actions always have consequences, but, and this is key, that even in the face of judgment, God's ultimate goal is never destruction. It's always redemption and restoration. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a world that is still so full of corrupt leadership and injustice, where do we see this ancient pattern playing out today? And maybe more importantly, where can we find that same enduring hope for a faithful remnant and a God who promises to rejoice over us with singing?